People who often order takeout probably don't know. Some takeout food shouldn't be eaten. It carries a venom that seeps into your soul. Some takeout food can cost you your life, binding you to a curse that whispers death in the dark. That day, in the dim, flickering fluorescent lights of our office, I ordered a special kind of cake, one that could have an image printed on its surface with eerie precision. The air felt thick, oppressive, as if the walls themselves were watching. I casually sent a photo of a colleague, Ethan Carter, to the bakery, unaware of the horror I'd unleashed. The delivery arrived faster than expected, the box cold to the touch, as if it had been pulled from a crypt. I couldn't wait any longer and tore it open, the faint scent of sugar and something metallic like blood wafting up. We were all shocked. The cake was flawless, Ethan's face sculpted in icing so lifelike it seemed his eyes followed us. It looked delicious, yet a chill crawled up my spine. "I'll take the first bite," said James Bennett, a colleague from the next desk, his voice trembling slightly as he forced a laugh. Quickly, the small cake was sliced, each piece glistening unnaturally under the office lights. Everyone dug in except Ethan Carter, who shook his head helplessly, his face pale as if he sensed the darkness lurking. As we swallowed the sweet, cloying bites, a low, guttural laugh echoed from somewhere in the shadows of the office, too faint to pinpoint. Suddenly, Ethan's body convulsed, twisting in a grotesque, unnatural posture. His left arm snapped off with a sickening crack, blood spraying across the desk, pooling in shapes that seemed to writhe. His screams were drowned by that same chilling laugh, now louder, as if the walls themselves mocked his pain. His limbs disintegrated one by one, flesh peeling away like paper, revealing bone that crumbled to ash. "What's happening?" I gasped, my voice barely a whisper, eyes wide with disbelief as the air grew heavy with the stench of decay. A colleague screamed, her voice piercing the haze. "It's exactly the same, exactly the same. It's the same order we ate the cake." Her words sent a shockwave through the office desks, trembling as if the floor itself shuddered. Colleagues began vomiting violently, their retching mixing with the metallic tang of blood, the office now a cesspool of fear and bile. Amid the chaos, a voice called from outside the door. Cold and deliberate, "Emily Harper, your food is here." Emily Harper, a quiet accountant, froze, her face drained of color. Hearing her food had arrived, she frowned, her voice barely audible. "I didn't order any food." The delivery person, his face obscured by a hood, checked the order with mechanical precision. "The address is correct. The name is correct. I'll leave it at the reception for you." His voice was hollow, like an echo from a grave. He placed the box down, and as he turned, I swore his shadow lingered longer than it should, stretching across the floor like claws. Emily, trembling, shuffled to the reception, her hands shaking as she retrieved the box. She opened it before us all, and a collective gasp filled the room. The lights flickered, casting jagged shadows that danced on the walls. Emily Harper trembled, her breath hitching. Inside was an exquisitely crafted cake doll, its features identical to hers down to the faint scar on her cheek. Its eyes, made of glossy icing, seemed to glint following her every move. A sickly sweet odor laced with rot oozed from the box. Terrified, she clutched it to her chest, her eyes darting to her colleagues, who backed away instinctively. "I'm warning you all, no one is allowed to eat it," she whispered, her voice cracking as the temperature in the room plummeted. Everyone, half crying, half laughing, shook their heads, their faces pale. "Even if you forced me to eat it, I wouldn't," they muttered, but their eyes betrayed their terror. I noticed a postcard tucked inside the box, its edges stained with something dark and viscous. I picked it up, my fingers brushing against its cold surface, and read the front, "Do as instructed, and it will end." The words seemed to pulse under my touch. Flipping it over, I found a website address and a line of text scrawled in jagged, blood-red ink. I read aloud, my voice trembling. "Emily Harper, post a video of yourself eating your cake on the website above." Emily stared at me, her eyes wide with horror. "What did you say, Hannah Cole?" I handed her the postcard, my hands shaking to prove I wasn't lying. Her face darkened, her fingers trembling as she clutched the card, its edges cutting into her skin. "Honor is important, but life is more precious." She fumbled with her phone, picking it up and setting it down repeatedly, her breaths shallow. The office lights dimmed further, and a faint scratching sound came from the ceiling like nails on wood. Sarah Mitchell, the department head, strode forward, her face stern but her eyes flickering with fear. She pressed her hand on Emily's phone, stopping her. "Emily, absolutely do not post the video. Once you do, your life is ruined." Her voice wavered as the scratching grew louder, now joined by a faint whisper that seemed to say, "Eat, eat." Emily, trembling, stammered, "But if I follow the instructions, I'm afraid." Before she could finish, Sarah cut her off, her voice sharp. "Don't worry, as long as no one touches that cake, you'll be fine." Emily nodded frantically, as if clinging to a lifeline, but the air grew colder and the shadows in the corners seemed to pulse. Seeing Emily wouldn't post the video, Several male colleagues sighed, their voices tinged with disappointment. Such a good show, and it's canceled. All right, stop crowding around. Clear out, protect the scene. Don't let it get disturbed. Sarah barked, shooing colleagues away while dialing 911. She recounted the scene to the police, her voice steady but her hands shaking. After hanging up, she sat beside Emily, murmuring reassurances, though her eyes kept darting to the cake box. I glanced at Emily, then at the box. She clutched its surface, now slick with condensation. Or was it something else? As I turned away, the small white box inside the cake box twitched, a faint skittering sound emanating from within. I leapt up, pointing, my heart pounding. Hey, why is that box moving? Emily and Sarah stared, and the white box trembled violently, as if something alive clawed to escape. The lights flickered again, and a low guttural hum filled the air, vibrating in our bones. The white box burst open with a wet pop, and a small white rat, its eyes glowing red, scurried out. It moved with unnatural speed, its claws clicking on the plastic as if driven by hunger from another world. It lunged at the human-shaped doll, its teeth sinking into the icing neck. At that moment, Emily's neck tore open, blood gushing in a crimson arc, splattering Sarah's face. Emily's screams were drowned by the rat's frenzied squeals and that same demonic laugh echoing from the walls. Her body seemed to unravel, flesh peeling away in strips, bones snapping as she collapsed into a mangled heap within seconds. I rushed to her, my hands slick with sweat, and tore open the cake box. The rat's eyes locked onto mine, glowing brighter before I swatted it to the ground and crushed it under my heel, its body bursting with a sickening squelch. But Emily was gone, her remains unrecognizable, the air thick with the stench of blood and decay. After 10 seconds of silence, the office erupted. Female colleagues screamed, collapsing, crawling toward the door. Male colleagues' faces ashen fled, their footsteps echoing like a stampede. Sarah Mitchell sat frozen, trembling, her face streaked with Emily's blood, unable to speak. Police sirens wailed below, their red and blue lights casting ghostly shadows through the windows. Officers sealed the scene, their faces grim, as they examined the remains, collecting evidence amidst the lingering hum that seemed to seep from the walls. They converted an office into a temporary interrogation room, its door creaking ominously. By past 300 p.m., all employees had been questioned. Captain Michael Grant gathered us, his voice deep and hoarse like gravel. Ladies and gentlemen, based on our clues, this is a murder case. The perpetrator has advanced killing skills and an unnaturally steady psyche. Pausing, he continued. The coroner's initial assessment suggests Ethan Carter and Emily Harper died from strong acid corrosion. His words hung heavy, met with skeptical glances. Both were corroded by acid. The cake dolls were tools to deceive and divert attention. The hum in the walls grew louder, mocking his explanation. Many sighed in relief, whispering, "So it's not ghosts." But the air felt wrong, as if the office itself was alive, watching. Michael Grant led his team away, their footsteps fading into the oppressive silence. The office sank into a tense, unnatural stillness, the lights flickering erratically. Though most nodded at Grant's words, a primal fear gnawed at us, fueled by the faint scratching now coming from under the floor. "I'm going to the bathroom," James Bennett muttered, grabbing tissue, his hands trembling. When he returned, his face was gray eyes bulging like he'd seen death itself. I jumped, my voice sharp. "What's wrong?" He sat beside me, shaking. Glancing around as if the shadows had ears, he whispered, "Hannah Cole, this isn't as simple as it seems." "What?" I leaned closer, my pulse racing, sensing the weight of his words. "Explain," James raised a trembling finger. "First, Emily Harper didn't order food yet. She got a pre-ordered delivery. Isn't that odd? Second, when we ate Ethan's doll, didn't you feel something watching us? Most importantly, the third point." He tossed a tissue-wrapped object onto the table, its damp yellowish surface reeking of rotten blood. "What's this?" I gagged, covering my nose. James' voice, low with shame, said, "This came out when I used the bathroom. I fished it out." I leapt up, my stomach churning. He grabbed me, pulling me down, and peeled open the tissue. Inside was a silver ring crusted with dried blood, glinting unnaturally. I recognized it, Ethan Carter's ring. A cold dread gripped me. James whispered, "I passed this." I swallowed it. Only this ring. When James ate the arm of Ethan's doll, he'd swallowed the ring on its hand. The doll wasn't a diversion. Ethan and Emily weren't killed by acid, but by the dolls tied to a curse that pulsed in the air around us. I've ordered takeout my whole life, but this time I'd ordered a dish of death. Our eyes met, both filled with raw terror. "Don't say anything," I hissed to avoid bad energy. James nodded, his face slick with sweat. I circled Ethan and Emily's desks, searching for clues, each step heavy, as the scratching beneath the floor grew louder. I found something chilling. Their employee ID photos had turned black and white, their faces frozen in expressions of agony, like funeral portraits. The air grew colder, and a faint whisper, my name, echoed behind me. I spun, but no one was there. Then a voice called from outside, sharp and mocking. Hannah Cole, your food is here. My food. My heart stopped. I hadn't ordered takeout. Was I now cursed by this demonic spell? I rushed to the reception, my breath ragged, feeling an icy breath on my neck. Colleagues gathered their faces, pale eyes wide. Inside the box was a human-shaped doll, identical to me, its icing eyes gleaming with malice. Their faces dark and sweat beading as if they feared the doll more than I did. David Lawson, the department director, spoke, his voice stern but trembling. Hannah, don't touch this cake. I'll call the police and hand it over. Maybe they'll find something. I sneered. Hand it to the police, don't joke. He frowned. Hannah, what are you saying? This is an ice cream cake. By the time the police arrive, it'll have melted. I smirked, my voice low. You really don't get it, or are you pretending? This cake is my life. If it melts, I die. My words silenced the room, fear reigniting in their eyes. David, annoyed, snapped. Stop talking nonsense. Captain Grant said it's acid, not curses. Even if it melts, you won't die. Acid. 5 minutes ago, I might have believed it. But after Nathan Brooks showed me the blood-crusted ring, I knew this was no acid. My life wasn't theirs to gamble. Hannah, you're crazy, David barked. I drew my fruit knife, its blade catching the flickering light, and roared, I'm warning you all, no one touches this cake. My ferocity made David back off. So what's your plan, he asked. I said evil deeds have evil consequences, but evil traps can be broken. Emily could have broken hers, but you ruined it. I'll break mine myself. I pulled out the postcard, its edges now warm as if alive. The front read, do as instructed, and it will end. The back in jagged red ink said Hannah Cole, strip a female colleague and photograph her. I looked up slowly, the air thick with dread. Every female colleague stepped back, their eyes wide with fear, the shadows behind them seeming to writhe. David, voice shaking, said, Hannah, calm down. We're dealing with a pervert. You can't follow his orders. It's a crime. Nathan Brooks whispered, Hannah, don't listen. This isn't human. If you don't comply, you'll die. Exactly, I'll die, I said, scanning the women, their faces pale as ghosts. As I stood helpless, a soft voice rose, trembling but resolute. I'm willing to help. All eyes turned to Lily Evans, a petite, beautiful graphic designer, with short hair, her face pale but determined. I asked, have you thought this through? This involves your honor. She nodded. I'm willing. Follow me, I said. She hesitated. Where, I replied to an empty room. You don't want to do this in front of everyone, do you? No, I'll go, she said, her voice barely a whisper as the scratching grew louder. In the storage room, dust hung in the air, and the single bulb flickered, casting jagged shadows. Lily looked up, her eyes wide. I don't want to help you, I chuckled. Then why come, biting her lip, she said. If no one steps up, the company will tear itself apart. They're my sisters. I don't want them hurt. So I stepped forward. What era breeds such purity? Enough, I said. You're willing, so let's begin. Begin what? She asked, her voice trembling. As the postcard says, strip and photograph. Regretting it, she shook her head. No, go ahead. She closed her eyes, her body trembling like a leaf as if awaiting execution. The air grew colder, and a faint giggle echoed from the walls. I softened, unsure how to treat her innocence. After a moment, Lily opened her eyes, whispering, Why haven't you started? Before I could answer, a sharp pain stabbed my arm, and Nathan's shout pierced the door. Hannah, the doll's melting. If it melts, I'm done. I snapped the photo before Lily could react, the flash illuminating her terrified face. The pain vanished, and I felt normal, but the giggle grew louder, mocking. My life was saved by her. Leaving the room, Nathan ran up, holding the box. Hannah, look. The doll had turned to stone, its eyes still gleaming faintly. Colleagues gasped, realizing the curse was real. Even David Lawson, a skeptic, muttered, Could there be ghosts? The shadows in the corners pulsed as if nodding. The next day we worked in a haze, the office air thick with the scent of decay. A voice called Claire Thompson. Your food is here. Claire screamed. No, I didn't order anything. I smirked. This isn't about ordering anymore. Her boyfriend Ryan Parker rushed to the reception. Inside was a doll identical to Claire. A lit candle beside it, the doll draped in flammable material. When the candle burned down, it would ignite, and the air grew heavy with the smell of sulfur. Claire clawed at the box, desperate to remove the candle. I warned, don't bother, the culprit won't let you. Find another way. She tore open the postcard. The front read, do as instructed and it will end. The back said Claire Thompson cut off a colleague's hand. She froze, her scream echoing as the lights dimmed. Colleagues backed away, their eyes wary. David Lawson stepped in. Claire, don't do anything foolish. This pervert wants us to kill each other. It's a crime, Claire sobbed. But if I don't, I'll die. Her words chilled us, the shadows growing darker. David shook his head. Captain Grant said it's acid, not a curse. His voice faltered as the scratching resumed. My cake turned to stone, and I'm fine, I said. This is a demonic curse. David's acid talk was nonsense. Nathan whispered to Claire and Ryan, who nodded, knowing desperation breeds madness. Colleagues huddled, avoiding solitude. Claire laughed bitterly. Guarding like that, I won't act. Her bloodshot eyes betrayed her. The candle burned closer, the sulfur stench overwhelming. Lily went to the bathroom, and Claire followed Ryan, trailing. Trouble, that kind fool going. Now I grabbed my knife and ran to the women's bathroom, the air thick with rot. Ryan stood at the door, glaring. None of your business, he snarled. Lily stepped out, nearly screaming. What are you doing? Another stall opened, and Claire emerged, eyes glowing red, lips cracked, scissors gleaming. Claire advanced, scissors raised. Lily backed away. What are you doing? I shouted. Run! Lily bolted, but Ryan blocked the door. I charged, slashing Ryan's arm, blood spraying in an arc that formed strange runes on the wall. He fell, cursing. I grabbed Lily and ran, Claire's blood-red eyes burning into me, the curse stripping her humanity. Back at the office, Claire and Ryan didn't return. The candle ignited the doll, but it turned to stone, meaning the curse was broken. Lily was unharmed, so who? Then it hit me. Claire cut off Ryan's hand. Lone injured, he was easy prey. Ruthless. We found Ryan at the bathroom door, blood pooling his severed hand's wound, jagged the blood forming symbols that pulsed faintly. David called 911. Ryan was rushed to the hospital, Claire to the police. Her actions set a dark precedent. I couldn't stay, Lily approached. Let's break this curse, I laughed. The police are stumped. What can you do? She said, we can try. She suggested the bakery. Ethan's death started there. In 20 minutes, we arrived, the shop's air thick with decay. A small door led to a bedroom. I told Lily to watch and slipped inside. As I searched Victoria Quinn, the owner entered, her movements jerky. I hid in a wardrobe, peering through a crack. She sat at a vanity, clawing at her face, peeling away skin with a wet ripping sound, blood dripping, as she hissed in a voice not her own. My tremble alerted her. She turned her eyeless face, staring at the wardrobe. I held my breath. She applied new skin, its edges glowing faintly, and left. I checked the drawer, dozens of masks, some stained with blood. Then I found an employee ID, ours. Victoria Quinn, former employee, the bakery owner tied to the curse. I snapped a photo and fled, her actions haunting me. Was she human? Back at the office, I asked Nathan. No, Victoria Quinn. He shook his head. Check HR. I'll ask, I stressed. This is critical. He nodded, seeing my fear. Ryan returned, bandaged, his eyes venomous. Hannah, watch out, Nathan warned. Then Mia Foster brought takeout. Hannah, Ryan, your food's here. Inside were two dolls, me and Ryan. The postcard read, Hannah Cole and Ryan Parker fight. Winner lives, loser dies. Ryan grinned, I'll beat you to death. The culprit knew our feud, fresh as it was. They were among us. The back detailed a card game, 2 cards, 1 normal, 1 defective, 50 rounds. Winner lives, loser dies. As we prepared, the shadows laughed and something stranger unfolded.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, drop a comment below. And please like, share and subscribe my channel.